Hey people, I welcome you all to Caroline's Online Academy. We are learning in this series of videos. We are learning the concepts related to accounting for share capital, issue of shares. And in this video, we're going to be learning how to account for a problem in which pro rata allotment has been made and there is false in advance. So without further ado, let's go ahead and read the question. Ruchita Limited invited applications for 1 lakh shares of rupees 100 each payable as follows. Application 25, allotment 30, first call 30, and second call is remaining, which should be 100 minus 25 minus 30 minus 30, the issue price minus whatever is collected on the earlier calls, 25 minus 30 minus 30, and therefore the second call will be 15 rupees. The company received 1,40,000 applications and it made pro rata allotment to all applicants. Diksha, holding 1,000 shares, paid all amount due on the shares along with application pass the journey. A question like this with a few more adjustments were asked as an 8-mark question in the year 2018 or 2019. And therefore, it is important that how we learn, it's important that we learn how to account for this. Understood? Though it might look very simple, it might look as a very simple calls and advance problem. It's actually not that simple. You know why? Because there is already calls in advance because of pro rata allotment. On top of that, one person has paid the entire amount due on the shares along with application. So even the first journal entry is not the same as what it used to be. Okay, because if you notice, the journal entry is same, but the computation of the amount is different. If you notice, 1 second. If you notice, out of the 1,40,000 application, Diksha has paid all amount due on her shares with application. Am I right or not, my children? So, and Diksha is holding 1,000 shares. In a pro rata allotment question, if they're given the number of shares held by someone, you'll have to compute the number of applications that the person might have made, right? Because the number of applications made by a person and the number of shares being held by the person will not be same in case of pro rata allotment. Obviously, the number of shares will be a little lesser than the number of applications made by that person, right? Because of pro rata allotment, you don't allot full shares to anyone. At the same time, you don't reject anyone's shares outright. The number of applications and the number of shares will not be same. And on the applications of Diksha is not just paying 25 rupees application money. She's paying the entire 100 rupees that is due on her shares. Diksha says, okay, I'll pay the entire 100 right now. So you can divide this 1,40,000 applications into two types. One, all the others, and then Diksha's applications. Because they are not the same. Everyone else have paid 25 rupees per application, whereas Diksha alone has paid how much? Diksha alone has paid 100 rupees per application. Am I right or not? How much would have Diksha paid? Is it 1,000 shares into 100, 1 lakh? That also would be wrong because 1,000 is the number of shares that are being held by Diksha. That is not the number of application that was made by Diksha. So we'll have to go ahead and find the number of application made by Diksha. We multiply and write the number of shares held by Diksha. If number of shares are being given, then in the denominator, we'll write the total number of shares allotted on pro rata basis, which is 1 lakh. And in the numerator, we'll write the total number of applications on which pro rata allotment was made in order to find, just give me a second, in order to find the total applications made by that particular shareholder. That is, if they're given the number of shares held by a shareholder, we multiply and write that, and in the denominator we write the total number of shares, and in the numerator we write the total number of applications. Understood? If they've given the number of applications made by a shareholder in pro rata, we multiply and write the number of applications, and the denominator will write the total applications, and the numerator will write the total shares. Understood or not? As they've given the number of shares held by Diksha, we've multiplied and written the number of shares held by Diksha, and the denominator we are writing the total shares, and in the numerator we are writing the total number of applications on which pro rata allotment was made in order to find out the number of applications of Diksha, which obviously will be 1,400 when we cancel this out. So Diksha has made 1,400 applications. So what is it, my dear children? it will be, what is the application money received? It is on the 1,400 application made by Diksha. Diksha has paid 100 rupees per application. And on the remaining applications, how much is the remaining? 1 lakh 40 was the total number of applications, out of which 1,400 application belongs to Diksha. So 1 lakh 38,600 applications on the 1 lakh 38,600 applications. All the others are paid 25 rupees. Understood or not, my dear children? So we have 1,400 into 100 plus 1,38,600 into 25. And that will be the total application you see by the company. It is not a straightforward computation like 1,40,000 into 25 because we have not received 25 rupees per application on all the 1,40,000 applications. Someone has paid the entire amount due on her shares along with application. So that person would have paid the entire 100 rupees along with application. Am I right or not, my dear children? And therefore, in order to compute the total number of total amount of money received, we'll have to do the small computation. We find the number of applications made by that person who paid the amount in advance, and then we calculate separately for that person and for all the others in order to identify find out the total number of total amount of application money received by the company. Next journal entry is also going to be a little different. It's not different, but it will require a little bit of thinking. Understood or not, my dear children? So, share capital account. Share application account will be debited with the entire amount due, and share application account, as you all know, will be credited with the amount receivable per share on application multiplied by the total number of shares. Understood or not? And then we credit share allotment account with the excess application money that can be adjusted against allotment. Now here, again, we'll have to do it separately for both Diksha and others. Understood or not, my dear children? It's a little tricky actually. If you see, Diksha has paid the entire amount due on her share, which means what? On the 1,400 applications she made, for the 1,000 shares, she would have paid the entire allotment money. Am I right or not, my dear children? And the remaining is only being paid by the others. The others only would have paid a portion of the application. Diksha, whereas on the 1,400 shares, he has paid 100 rupees, which means what? For obviously, she's paid the full allotment money on all her shares. Am I right or not, my dear? There is an easier way to do this. Instead of filling in share allotment account at first, we'll go ahead when credit calls in advance and keep it aside. And crediting calls in advance because Diksha has paid the entire amount due on her shares, right? So which means she would have paid the first call and second call also. And then you'll also credit bank. Now you might wonder why we credit bank. Now Diksha has paid the entire amount due on her shares on the 1,400 applications she made. But how many shares are we allotting to her? We're only allotting 1,000 shares. So 400 extra applications Diksha has made. But can we use the money received on the 400 extra applications against the dues on her shares on the 1,000 shares? That is also not possible. Why is it not possible? Because on the 1,000 shares that she applied for, she's already paid 100 rupees. Diksha has paid 100 rupees on all the 1,400 applications. And we are allotting only 1,000 shares to Diksha. So how much are we supposed to receive from Diksha? It is 1,000 into 100, which is 1 lakh rupees. But how much have we received? It is 1,40,000 rupees because she made extra applications. Now, usually when we get excess application money from the extra applications, what do? We adjust against allotment and further calls too. But unfortunately, that is also not possible here. Why is that not possible here? That is not possible here because Diksha has paid the entire amount due on her shares. Which means what? On the 1,000 shares allotted to her, she's already paid the allotment money, first call, second call money, and everything. So whatever excess application money she has paid is now, all of that money is extra only. Because on the allotted shares, she has paid all the money. Am I right or not, my dear children? So the excess application money paid by Diksha is completely extra, as she has paid the entire amount due on her shares on the allotted 100,000 shares to her. Therefore, The excess applications of 400, which I computed by subtracting the total number of shares allotted to Diksha from the total number of applications made by Diksha, and multiply that with the amount she paid with along with every application, which is 100, to arrive at 40,000, which happens to be the excess application money paid by 400 into 100. Now, this excess application money cannot be adjusted against allotment or calls because Diksha has paid all the amount due already, right? So I'm going to refund this excess application money to Diksha. Tell her that no, this money we cannot use for anything, and therefore we refund. Understood. And now calls in advance. How much would Diksha have paid as calls in advance? On the 1,000 shares allotted to her, she has paid everything. Am I right or not, my dear children? So calls in advance would refer to the amount payable as first call and second call. As first call, we are supposed to pay 30 rupees, and on second call, we are supposed to pay 15 rupees. Am I right? So 30 plus 15 is 45 into 1,000 is 45,000. That is what she is paid as calls in advance. So what would be share allotment account numbers? Share allotment account would be this minus this minus this minus this. Basically the balancing. Understood or not, my dear children? I know it's a little, it might sound a little complicated, but if you look at it clearly, it's very simple actually. We're keeping share allotment account as a balancing figure because that is easier that way. It is easier to do it that way in questions like this. Understood or not? Now you might wonder, what if all the other shareholders have paid so much extra, have made so much extra application, right? The allotment money is more than what is required in allotment, and it has to be adjusted against calls and account stuff. Well, you can actually find out, right? Because you see, the total allotment money due is on allotment you need 30 rupees and 1 lakh shares 30 lakh rupees. Am I right or not? But what we have in calls share allotment account when we use it as a balance sheet, there is only 10 lakh 20,000. So this 10 lakh 20,000 is obviously not going to cover the entire 30 lakhs that is due from all the share. Am I right or not? And therefore they have all the others have not paid so made so many extra applications that it will not cover it. Understood or not? So that way, you after doing all this computation and arriving at the share allotment account, you'll also have to see if share allotment account is more than what is credited to share allotment account is more than what is due on share allotment account. If it is more, then you'll have to take that extra amount to calls in advance, and then even if it is more beyond that, then you'll have to refund that. But that is not the case in this case. Understood or not, my dear children? Shares allotment. I'll probably do a question like that also, where the excess application money is more than what is due. Okay. I'll do another question like that in the upcoming videos. The next thing to do would be to make allotment money due. That is a very straightforward entry. Share allotment account debit to share capital account. Allotment money. Total allotment money made due will be what, my dear children? It is the number of shares allotted multiplied by the allotment money per share, which is 30 lakhs. Bank account will be debited when we receive the allotment money, and called share allotment account will be debited. Allotment money received, and that will be how much, my dear children? It will be the total amount made due minus whatever we have credited to share allotment account. Just 19 lakh 80,000. Then we got to make the first call due on all the 1 lakh shares. Journal entry will be share first call account debit to share capital account. Share first call made due. And that will be how much, my dear children? It will be 1 lakh multiplied by the amount due on first call, which happens to be 30 in this question. That is 30 lakh. And while passing the receipt entry, we got to be really careful. We know that Diksha has paid the entire amount due on her shares, right? So calls, and we have some calls in advance. So calls in advance account will also be debited as we're making use of the calls in advance, and the liability calls in advance reducing. And share first call accounts will be credited. Share first call. Share first call will be credited with the entire amount we made due. And calls in advance will be how much, my dear children? It is the money paid by Diksha as advance for first call along with on her 1,000 shares. So for first call it is 30 rupees, on her 1,000 shares it will be 30,000, and the remaining will be the amount received from others, which is 29 lakhs. Now similarly we'll have to do it for second call also. The numbers will change, the journal entry will also slightly change. We change the journal entry first. Share second call account debit to share capital account, share second call to bank account debit, calls in advance account debit to share second call. The amount, my dear children, is we'll make second call due on all the shares, so it will be 1 lakh into 15, which will be 15 lakh, and share second call will be credited with the entire amount due. Calls in advance will be what? 1,000 shares held by Diksha multiplied by the amount receivable on second call, which is 15, and therefore this will be 15,000. And bank will be 15 lakh minus 15,000. That's it. So whenever there is a situation like this where the entire amount on certain shares have been paid by the shareholder along with the application money, it it leaves us in a fix. It puts us in a fix where we have to refund all the amount received on this application for that particular shareholder. And while computing the application money received, we'll have to compute the application money received from that shareholder separately and from all the others separately, and then add up in order to find out the total application money received. And we got to be careful as they paid money in advance, we'll have to credit to calls in advance. All of those things come into play when you receive the entire application money, like, along with entire amount due on shares, along with application money on certain shares. Understood or no? I'll do another question where the allotment money is more than enough to cover allotment, and therefore it gets used for calls in advance and bank also, and then a certain portion of it gets refunded also. We'll do that in the upcoming videos, probably the last or the penultimate video for calls in advance. I'll leave the After I upload that video, I'll leave the link for that video in the description of this video, so that you can go ahead and watch that video immediately afterwards in order to get a better understanding of what I'm talking about. With that, we've come to the end of this video, my dear children, and I hope you understood. Hope to see you again in another video where we teach the concepts for accounting for share capital. And if you like the content that we're producing, please do like, share, subscribe. And if you're not understanding anything properly that I'm talking about, please do leave a comment or send a question that you're finding difficult, and I'll also help you solve. Thank you so much. You people take care. Have fun.